10 players who ruined their careers after joining Arsenal. From a player literally losing his life after being a gunner to one who was supposed to be the next Messi, here are 10 players who ruined their careers after joining Arsenal. Number 10, Stephen Hughes. Stephen Hughes' story epitomizes the saying, "Fate dealt an unlucky hand." This guy went from an exciting prospect at Arsenal's youth team to a resounding flop at just a couple of years of playing for its senior team. After winning a FA Youth Cup in 1994, he joined the senior team the following year. He started very well and the sky seemed to be the limit for the young Hughes. However, having a solid midfield duo of Patrick Vieira and Emmanuel Petit proved to be his downfall. He struggled to usurp both players and command a starting belt. This meant that playing time became scarce and a loan looked like the solution. But that didn't work, and if you add injuries, the dude became a shadow of himself and eventually bade Arsenal farewell and indeed his career in a short space of time. Number 9, Andriy Arshavin. Andriy Arshavin was a beast for Zenit St. Petersburg, scoring goals and providing assists for his team. His stellar performances quickly brought him to the notice of several top teams in Europe, yet it wasn't until 2008 that he truly tattooed himself in the minds of the big guns in Europe and got them falling over themselves just to sign him. His role in Zenit's 2007-08 UEFA Cup victory, where he even won the man of the match in the final, definitely was attention-grabbing. And not just that, he also came out 6th in the Ballon d'Or. Barcelona and Tottenham were among the teams gunning for his signature, but Arsenal snatched him up in the end. He started his Arsenal career on the high, scoring 4 goals against Liverpool. However, Arsene Wenger made a huge mistake later. You see, Arshavin usually flourished behind the main striker, but he had Fabregas to contend that position with. So Wenger placed the newcomer on the wings. This decision turned out to be one of the things that contributed to his downfall. From then on, Arshavin struggled to stay fit and was criticized for being overweight and lazy, as he was often seen taking breaks to catch his breath during games. He was soon loaned back to Zenit to try to regain some of his mojo, but his move back to Russia wasn't of much use as he was now a complete shadow of himself. Number 8, Mathieu Debuchy. Mathieu Debuchy got ruined by 2 things. 1, a ligament injury, and 2, the Professor Arsene Wenger. Debuchy first made his name in Lille before moving to Newcastle, where he showcased his ability as a solid defender who could also help the attack. In 2014, Arsenal got his signature, and he went on to make just 10 Premier League appearances in his debut season. This is because a series of injuries proved to be his kryptonite. Arsene Wenger soon replaced him with Hector Bellerin and didn't call him up very often, even when he was not injured. Debuchy also suffered fitness problems and soon resolved to leave the club to reignite his glory days elsewhere. But Wenger proved to be a hindrance. At some point, Man United was willing to offer him a deal, but according to Debuchy, Wenger blocked that deal. He eventually went to Saint-Etienne and then to Valenciennes, where he would retire for good. Number 7, Igor Stepanovs. Igor Stepanovs was a rising talent from Latvia, winning 7 national championships for Skonto Riga. It didn't take too long before the top clubs in the world started taking notice of this defender. An injury to Arsenal's captain Tony Adams in 2000 gave Stepanov his opportunity to play for one of the best clubs in the world. He took this opportunity with both arms, but little did he know that he was about to end his career. Arsenal signed him to £1.35 million, and he was a flying start to his Arsenal career. However, things went south quickly after his abysmal performance in a 6-1 thrashing by United. The match dented Arsenal's chances of winning the league title, and this didn't sit well with Arsene Wenger. It might have been just one disappointing game, but Wenger didn't give him a chance again, as he would only play 2 more games before his first season ended. From then on, things just weren't the same. He eventually was making cameo appearances, and after just 33 games for Arsenal, he moved to Belgian club KSK Beveren, and this rising star pretty much dwindled and went off completely. Number 6, Marouane Chamakh. Marouane Chamakh made his name in Bordeaux, showcasing his technical ability, superb off-the-ball movement, and his height gave him superpowers in the air. He became a cult hero for the club, scoring many crucial goals, helping Bordeaux break records and making Bordeaux a force to be reckoned with in Ligue 1. So Arsenal wanted this player, and he also wanted to play for Arsenal so badly because he even rejected an £18 million fee from West Ham, which was way more than the amount Arsenal had offered for him. Long story short, he moved later to Arsenal for free. Nevertheless, he fit quite well for the injured Robin van Persie in center forward, but upon Van Persie's return, he found himself pushed to the wings, which was a side of the pitch he didn't fancy much. It all went south from then on, and a once promising career was destroyed at Arsenal. After just 3 years, 67 appearances, and 14 goals for the Gunners, he was sold to Crystal Palace, where not much was heard of him again. But if you want to continue hearing from us, please hit that subscribe button now. Number 5, Francis Jeffers. Francis Jeffers was an amazing talent from Everton alongside Wayne Rooney. In fact, it was said that he showed more promise than Rooney. He was an exceptional striker, nicknamed a fox in the box, who scored 13 goals in 16 matches for England's under-21. A record he still holds with Alan Shearer. Jeffers was signed in 2001 by Arsenal, but it all turned out to be a mistake as he struggled with injuries. Let's not forget that he had to battle the legendary Thierry Henry and Sylvain Wiltord for a starting spot up front. But according to him, a part of it was also his fault, as he said many years later, quote, "I was out partying, living life, tossing it off, and training because I always thought I wouldn't play Saturday anyway. Now I look back with a lot of regrets." At the end of the day, Jeffers went from bad to worse and was tossed around multiple teams, especially in lower divisions, until he finally hung his cleats. Number 4, Jose Reyes. Jose Antonio Reyes, a young prodigy who defied all odds to play for his boyhood club, Sevilla, saw everything come crashing down after he joined Arsenal. Reyes was a talented player with a super left foot, amazing speed, and top-notch technical ability that placed him ahead of his peers while at Sevilla. Arsenal chased this kid for a long time. Then in 2004, Sevilla finally let him go for a club record fee of 22.5 million euros. Although his career at Arsenal began on a sour note after he scored an own goal, he soon picked up the pieces and began to shine for the Gunners. He was instrumental in the Arsenal's Inevitables team that clinched the 2003-2004 Premier League title without losing any game. However, the following season, a matchup against Man United saw Gary Neville badly tackle Reyes. It wasn't the first time a Man United wanted to take out the danger of Reyes. Paul Scholes had done it earlier in 2004. Then Gary Neville would later admit that he needed to get physical against Reyes. Nevertheless, the injuries caused by these tackles put Reyes in an unfortunate position. Add to that his inability to fully acclimatize to his new home in London. He felt deeply homesick, and with that, Reyes started to fade into obscurity. Eventually, he moved to Real, then to Atletico, and then later to Benfica before going back to Sevilla. But by the time he returned to Sevilla, he was no longer the same player he was when he left in 2004, and he unfortunately died in a car crash in 2019. Yet one can only wonder what would have happened if he never joined Arsenal at all. Number 3, Carlos Vela. To say Carlos Vela was a great prospect would be putting it mildly. This guy was the top scorer of the 2005 U17 World Cup. The same year, Arsenal acquired his signature, but unfortunately he couldn't play in England for a lack of work permit, so he was loaned away for the next 2 seasons. When he was eligible to play for England in 2008, he debuted for Arsenal with a hat trick. In the next 3 seasons, he continued to have good minutes by scoring goals and performing magic with the ball. However, Wegener barely used him as a starter, and soon he began to feel lonely at Arsenal. He couldn't wait to pack his bags and leave London for good. That's why when Real Sociedad came knocking, he didn't ask any questions. He just wanted to move on from his Arsenal nightmare. He did well for Sociedad, but his career never really took off after the exit from Arsenal. Nevertheless, he enjoyed some really good football in America and was the main man for Los Angeles FC at a time before his injury. So perhaps it wasn't that bad, right? Number 2, Nelson Vivas. Nelson Vivas' story is quite the sad one. He was a pretty decent right back when he moved to Arsenal from the Argentine League in '98. He was brought in as a backup for the more experienced wings back Nigel Winterburn and Lee Dixon. Also, his versatility meant he could ease into midfield when need be. But things soon turned into a nightmare for the Argentine as he struggled to get playing time, and even when he got it, he was thrown under the bus for the North Londoners' lousy performances. In one instance, Vivas was blamed for failing to stop Jimmy Hasselbank from scoring a late winner, which eventually led to Arsenal losing the title to Manchester United. Besides, his tackling ability was a subject of debate among the Arsenal hierarchy. After 18 months, 69 games in which he came on a substitute 40 times, his contract was never renewed. He then moved to the Inter, where his career went on a downward spiral, and eventually he retired in 2005. Number 1. Rio Miyagichi. Rio Miyagichi was once touted as the world's next Messi and Ronaldinho. He was nicknamed Rio Dino by the Dutch media and impressed Arsene Wenger so much that he signed him while he was still 14 years old in 2011. Truth is, Rio was just too good to put it lightly. The winger had lightning fast speed. He also had several tricks up his sleeve that helped him to navigate his way through his opponent's defense. Yet there was one big problem: injuries. This kid was prone to injuries and was never able to shake them off. It all started with an ankle injury during a loan spell for Wigan Athletic in the 2012-2013 season. He went on to miss the whole season after just 4 substitute appearances for Wigan. Things grew from bad to worse after that, as his injury woes compounded and it became clear to Arsene Wenger that Rio had lost his steam. After just 1 appearance for Arsenal, he was let go in 2015. He eventually found himself in the Bundesliga, 2nd division, with St. Pauli, but his injury problems did not relent. Eventually, he was released by St. Pauli, so he returned to Japan where it all started. But then, he was no longer the same player who garnered attention in his teenage years. Makes you wonder what could have been if he hadn't signed for Arsenal. That said, which of these players do you think got hit worse by their move to Arsenal? Let us know in the comments section, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more like this.